And welcome back. We have with us on set Annie Cuevas, Cubas Palacio, who has organized and has been organizing several conferences and events. Very active, you have always been. And you are a member of Belize Kids First Organization.
I'm the president.
Yes. And you're having a male empowerment seminar.
Yes, I am. I am the president of Belize Kids First Organization. It's an organization, it's a charitable organization that sends children at-risk youths. It has been registered since 2010, and I've been having these seminars since 2011. We had the women last year, and now we're having the men this Saturday at the ITVET compound on Freetown Road. I know maybe your first question, I'll jump it out at you. Why a male seminar and a woman is leading it? Well, we complement each other. I believe strongly, I've been in the educational system for the past 25 years, and I'm seeing more and more that our men, boys, are really in some major crisis. And I think over the past few years, we have been seeing, it started out slowly, the emasculation of our men. And now it's now proceeded to the point where our men really have lost their roles in their homes, in their neighborhood, and in society. And so on Saturday, we're covering all of that. I'm going to have, I think, one of the only clinical psychologists in this country, Mr. Shane Gutierrez. And we're going to have someone to deal with health statistics for our men. And of course, we're also going to cover legal issues with Mr. Anthony Sylvester, very renowned attorney. Yes. So we're going to cover all of that basics along with taking care of their mental health. I think one of our major problems, I just saw the segment before talking about healthy body, but nobody's talking about the healthy mind. Right. And so mental illness and mental issues, especially with men, has been stigmatized a lot. They're supposed to be macho all the time. They're supposed to be the breadwinners. They're supposed to be strong no matter what, and that is not fair. So this seminar is going to cover all of those issues, how you can use outlets, because there are outlets that you can use, but our men are afraid. And let's have a real conversation about where our society is, and you were alluding to it earlier. Wouldn't you agree that men are almost forgotten? We're like a shovel, we're a tool, you know? And how do you balance that durability? Because there's a functionality, a social functionality to it. It serves a purpose. But how do you open up and address the fact that, that men are not as strong as they present themselves to be? How do you get past the machismo of saying, you're not in the place that you're supposed to be? Stop. And to do that, you absolutely have to do something that men would identify as not being as masculine as it is. A man doesn't sit down and go to counseling. No, they don't. So how do you pass that hurdle? It starts early because being in educational system, I have a little assistance when it comes to meeting our boys. So it starts from home, the way you raise your children. I have a boy, I have a son, wonderful son, and I'm sure he's going to be a wonderful husband as he grows older. But we also need to understand that they have feelings, and we are not opening them up for them to express their feelings. And so our men, we need to let them understand that they need to express how they feel. Unfortunately, you're seeing more and more in the news. We have men, they're committing suicides, and they're killing themselves and their wives. Unfortunately, what happened yesterday, 2 o'clock in the morning, with this gentleman and killing his son and the grandmother. We're seeing a mental breakdown, because if he had known that there was an outlet that he can go to express how he felt, of his disappointments, of his hurt, I think he would have think twice. There is something that is called mindfulness that I see one of the schools, and along with my school also, we were dealing with. Because we need to understand the consequences to your actions before you get to that action. And I think many men, and now, as I told you before at the break, that I'm seeing more men in my counseling sessions than I do women now, because they're slowly understanding that, listen, I can't cope, I can't do this anymore, I'm falling apart. But it also has to do with the part that you said, that our men seem to feel as if they are not, their roles are being disintegrated, which is true. Many women now are being educated. They're independent. They're buying their own cars, buying their own houses. They're CEOs. They're firefighters. They are things that we see as male-dominated roles. But we have to balance it. And that is the reason why the seminar is so important, because our men need to understand that they do have a role, but they need to come to the table.
Absolutely. And when you talk about coming to the table and forums to express themselves, would you agree that there is not a social space and forums for outlets? And I'll tell you what I'm speaking about specifically. There's a women's department. There are all these programs that are designed for women, and then men get tagged as a footnote. So we're Women's Issues Network, but we also deal with men.
Exactly.
We're YWCA, but we also deal with men. There's a women department, but we also include, there's a families and children, but we also deal with men. So that there's a social construct and also an international movement which has been geared towards empowering females. How do we create more forums for men, and how do we empower them without feeding into the machismo that has caused a divide and a discrimination against women?
I think what happened there is that I totally agree with you. I like that you went to the point of the women's department, because we should have a family department. And I'm hoping that whatever government, one that's in and one that may come in, whatever ministers in charge of that section would look at the issues of the family. Well, because we have women, we have a department of women.
We have human services.
We have human services, yes, but that doesn't focus on men. We need to encompass the entire family. Remember, when the family breaks apart, so does society. And we need to bring that back. We need to ensure that our family structures are in place. If we have that, society will be better. So we can't just focus on women. Traditionally, men were the ones that were dominating. Now we have women, so the scale has just imbalanced. We need to bring back the scale for it to balance. And so that's the reason why we need to bring our men to the table. We need to focus on their feelings. What are their wants? What are their needs? How are they feeling? Because we're not looking at that. We are doing so much empowerment of women, which is wonderful. And, you know, I might get a lot of phone calls, but I'm used to the chaos. That's what I do. But I strongly feel we need to slow down on the women empowerment, because they're naturally empowered.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of calls.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're lucky Marlene isn't here.
I know, right? She knows. But I think we need to understand that naturally they're empowered. Like the school I'm principal at, all the girls tell me, said, "Miss, you're always looking at the girls." I said, "But sweetheart, you're going to go to high school. I'm positively sure you're going to find your way into high school, but my boys won't."
Yeah, the statistics.
So I have to focus on my boys with their mental health, with their issues that they're going through, because what they're going through at 6 and 7, I am seeing in my counseling sessions at 40.
Wow.
So we're not helping our boys at all to become good men. We're not helping our boys to be good fathers. The infidelity rate in this country is huge. Right. It's at an alarming rate. And at the seminar, you're going to see the health statistics when it comes to that. We have to allow ourselves to look in the mirror and reflect on, what do you want as a male? What is your role? Why are you there in that home? What are you doing? What is your purpose? And it's just like a lifelong story. If you know your purpose, you know where you're going to go, and you know what you're going to do. So that's what this seminar will do for you.
And you were alluding to the cycle, which is, you know, seeing it starting off and progressing to the kind of men that we're having. Yes. But another aspect of manhood, and just to underline your point in terms of the statistics, we've had a study from Dr. Gale, who's spoken about male participation in our society, looking at the educational statistics that you've spoken to in terms of looking at the beginning, starting school, and the 2% who actually make it to tertiary level education. But another important aspect I'd like you to address us on, and I don't know if it's part of the seminar that you're having, is the issue of positive male role models. I know you have Mr. Anthony Sylvester, who is surely a primary example of one of the strong males in our society who has contributed and who has actually moved his life from, he's somebody from in the George Street area.
Exactly. Perfect
and
example.
he's now probably one of the best, if not the best, constitutional attorney in this country.
In this country, exactly.
But can you talk to us about male role modeling? And if you'd allow me to put one other tag in there.
Yes.
And I will get some slack for this. To put it in a context, we look at institutions in this country, and the head of SEA is a female.
Correct.
And so the students there look up and they can say, you know, the head of this organization is a female.
Correct.
But when you look at the male counterpart at SJC, and we have an excellent head at SJC, an excellent, probably a very hard-working, if you look at what's happening at SJC, you see a lot of infrastructural work. But the head, in terms of a male role model standpoint, there's a disconnect. There's a female. If we were to try to do the same thing to say a male was the head of SCA, the term would be ridiculous.
Yeah.
Look at example, again, at YWCA, where there's a female at the head.
Female at the head.
But then at YMCA, we have a very competent, again, but a female. How are we failing our males by not allowing them the opportunity to have positive male role models?
Totally agree with you. I feel you on that when it comes to SJC. Yes, they have very strong women, but I will use it as I'll use it as my own experience. As I said, I have a son. There is no way on earth I could raise a son to raise a boy to be a man. I'm not even going to fool myself to think I can do that. I need males. I think he has two older brothers who are excellent when it comes to be role models. They're excellent role models. They take that job. Unfortunately, his father passed away, as you know.
Yes, yes.
So the brothers are excellent role models. They step in, they talk with him if he needs to express himself, that he can't do it for me. And I think that is what we need to do. We need to find a way where we can allow our boys to find good male role models, because there are some. And you alluded to the fact that I'm sure you're one of them. You're a great father. I've seen you do a great job.
Don't put me in there. Don't put me in there.
Yes, I'll put you in there. I have to give kudos where it's going to be. And people like Anthony Sylvester, he's always there for his girls, and those are girls. So there are good role male models in this country, but we need to find them. Unfortunately, there are a very rare few. And that is why this seminar is so important, because if you feel that you want to be a good role model, whether it be to your children, to your society, to the job that you're in, come to find out what your purpose is. And we're going to help you to find that, to help you strengthen, because it's already there, you know, the potential is there, but you need to find it. And somehow some people struggle with that. And you know, it's one of the things where our school is very close to St. Louis University. They have adopted us, really. And they have done almost everything for our school.
Martin Laporte.
Yes. And so there was this last year, a few of them came in. As usual, they come to visit, and there was one guy who was there who's literally, his department is for male empowerment, just a department for boys, because St. Louis University is a private kind of wealthy school. It's mainly Caucasians and Asians that attend the school. So when you see a male figure, it's like, wow. And a male figure with dreads, wowee. And so he come past something that they have never seen before. And so when he came, he visited and he said, listen, I want to empower your boys. I want us to see how we can help your boys to get to the point where they feel as if, not because they grew up in, say, Martin Laporte, in a poverty-stricken area or in a violent home, that they can't be a doctor like how I am. And so those are the things we need, the environment we need to create for them, because I noticed that when we do that, they're more than empowered. They feel, wow, I can do this. When I first went to St. Martin's a year ago, I asked the Standard 6 boys and girls, and I said, which school do you want to go, especially the boys? None of the boys said SJC.
Wow.
They said Maud Williams. They said every other school. One of them even said Muffles in Orange Walk. And I said, you're missing one school. And they said, which school, miss? And I said, SJC. It's right up the street. He said, miss, we can't go to SJC. I said, yes, you can. And now 18 of them going there. That's 11 before I came and 7 now. Because we create an environment that they can go there, all expenses paid, everything is done for them. because that's the environment that we have created. Now, those boys have come back to me and said, Miss, wow, totally different environment from St. Martin's. But we feel that we can do this. We can, in the next 4 years, you're going to come to a graduation. And that is what we need to create. We need to allow them to understand that their role is important. They're important to our society. They're important to the growth of this country, to the economic stance of this country, and to the family structure. We need to get back to turn our houses into homes. Because right now we have houses, which means that we have just people going in, changing their clothes, and coming back out in the morning. We need homes. We need to take away the tablets, the phones, get around the table. How was your day? Are there any feelings that we need to talk about? You're not feeling good today. Did anything happen at school that you didn't feel that it was addressed? So those are the things that we're going to talk about. Those are the things that we're going to be dealing with, because most importantly, our issues in this country starts from our homes. And if we do not get back to how things are, we're going to continue in this integration like what we're seeing right now, unfortunately.
Your seminars are huge.
Yes.
You have participants, like almost over 100 participants in them. And they're from all over the country.
All over the country. All over the country.
You're telling me that you're having participants from Pomona.
Yes, I had the last one I had was the guy calling from Pomona saying, "Listen, I'm coming. Don't start without me." And that's what I just love about these things, because it's always unexpected. As I said, the first seminars I had, the women were least to come. And the men were like, ready. I am ready to come. I have men who I forgot from the last seminar to call and say, listen, we're having this again, and they're messaging me, are you forgetting me? And this is the type of infectious feeling I want from the men, because we deserve to work together. We're not supposed to compete, and that's the problem. We're competing with each other now instead of complementing. Yeah, and so we are looking at, listen, your role as a male is this, your role as a female is this. Let's work together and contribute to ensure that our society is a better one, because we can't do it with just one. We need each other.
And looking at that wide cross-section of participants, are you able to glean a difference of experience and a different level of empowerment or lack of empowerment geographically in the country? Is there a difference between the men participating in the seminar and where they are emotionally or in terms of their empowerment status, compared to Corozal as compared to Belize City, or Pomona as compared to Cayo? Are you able to identify in the seminar a difference of where men are in their empowerment level?
Yes, definitely. And that's one of the things that we love about them coming in from all different parts of the country, because then we find out from early on, part of the starting off that we do is that we find out exactly, why are you here? What is the purpose of why are you here? Are you on a legal side going through, because one of the guys who came, the guy from Pomona really from the last seminar, he had some serious legal issues and he had no idea how to get it done, what to do, where to go. And that's where we zoomed in. And because we found out it was an entire impact, because everybody in that seminar for the men at that time said, yes, we realized that the court is only for the women, nothing for the men. We have, as we step in, we're losing.
The family court, I guess.
Yes, yes. And so and most of them had that similarity. And so we zoomed in on that, we helped them with that, and that's how most of them got assistance. Because that's what we do too. We try to allow that they do not leave until they get what they need. Whether it's emotional part, because like one of them said, it encompassed the emotional and the legal part, because he said it had to do with his children, and emotionally he felt drained. And so we need to help him with his mental health, and we also have to help him with his legal issues. So we try to find out from them, what is it that is going wrong that we can assist you with? And it's true, it's from north to south, it's totally different. Even family, when one guy would say, well, my wife is at home and I want her to stay at home, Belize City man will say, upon that, then better look like you work with me. and then we talk about it, we discuss, how is that working for you as someone who has a wife at home living in Cayo, and a city person saying, well, no, I need her to work with me because we need to balance it out. And then we get into the financial part of it. And then they start to say, if you do this financially, your wife could stay at home And again, I always use experience. I guess I'm a teacher at heart. So whenever I teach anything, it's always by experience. I stayed at home with my husband for many years, and I had no problem with that. I lost a lot of friends because they thought, well, you're independent, you're educated, why are you at home? But I'm saying, if my husband is making a certain amount of money and I could stay home with my kids to take them to extracurricular activities, then why shouldn't I? So those are the discussions that we talk about that many people may not want to talk about. So those are the things that they open up and they realize, oh, but I'm not by myself. They realize, wow, I'm not by myself. So let me see how I can help each other out. So I'm hoping from this that they take away that they have assistance, they have an outlet to go, they have a buddy system. Whenever you're feeling as if you're falling apart, you can't get to the counselor in time or the psychologist, I could call a friend in Pomona who was at the seminar and said, listen, I am falling apart. How can we do this together? What can I do because I'm falling apart? And I'm hoping that's what they take away from the seminar. I'm
very curious, and I know I really wish we had 5 segments on this. But a lot of things that men do, a lot of things that the outlets you're speaking about, men have, but they just don't have it in the way that women have it. For example, a woman might pick up the phone. I'm speaking of the classic example.
Correct.
Of a woman might pick up the phone and call her mother every day or her best friend every day, and they might speak about everything. From a male perspective, at least my experience, is that we're going to go do something physical. We're going to play sports, and in between, we're going to have an anecdotal exchange between one of our friends, but there's no deep exploration of what we're feeling and what we're doing because we're just not comfortable.
Exactly.
How does the seminar pass that comfort zone that we have? Because we don't want to be seen as less than a man, or manhood is all we have. Exactly. How does the seminar allow men to open up and pass that comfort zone that we don't feel as though, you know, we're looking soft, and so the guy beside us who's in the seminar said, yeah, exactly.
The good part about it is that men feel comfortable with each other. They always ask me, why don't you put them together? I said, we're going to do that. It takes time. That's a gradual thing. Because our men naturally, they take a while to open up. I've noticed that in my counseling sessions with the men, and I have at least 7 gentlemen from the ages of 19 to the oldest one is 45 that comes to my counseling session, and each of them are individuals. In their own. I have the 19-year-old who is young and vibrant and he's expressing how he feels, and I have my 45-year-old that takes me an hour to get him to say what he needs to say. But they do take the time, and you have to give them that time. I always ask that in the seminars, if you feel uncomfortable to say anything in public with everybody, that's fine. Remember, when we're completed, I am here. If you need to talk with me, we have our clinical psychologist that will be there, that will be able to talk with them privately. But a lot of them do, after a while, when they realize it's not only them in this problem or going through these issues, that's when they look up and they say, okay, so if you're doing that and I'm in this, so how can we work together? It takes a while, but you give them their time. But they do come out of their comfort zone. And a part of the seminar, the last one too, the male did have a basketball game.
Wow.
And that was a way for them to use their way of talking to each other and getting to know each other. And there's nothing wrong. You create the environment for them. You don't create a space, because it's hard to bring men together in a forum. It's very difficult. But if you create a basketball game and they come and they play, they talk about each other, they talk with each other, and nothing is wrong with that. That's their comfort zone, and that's good. When they're ready, they will come out and come on my couch and they will talk to me, which is fine.
Well, you have us completely sold. We're excited, we're motivated. Give us details about the Men Empowerment Seminar.
Yes, it's going to be this Saturday, November 3rd. It begins at 9 o'clock at the ITVET compound in Freetown Road in Belize City. It goes until 9 until 3, but I've found out it goes until 9 until whenever. And that's fine. It is one of the fundraising events that we do for my organization, Belize Kids First. So we're asking for $25. That money goes straight into children going to school. Yes, $25. That's all we ask. If you had to see an attorney like yourself, might have been
it's 4 or 5 times. Just to see Mr. Sylvester is about a lot more than that.
So we're asking for that. It's always just a contribution. We're going to have, of course, their lunch and little snacks in between. We're going to have Anthony Sylvester, the legal issue man. He's been talking about the legal issues. We're going to have health statistics from Miss Alison Green. She's very good with that. And then we also have our clinical psychologist, Shane Gutierrez, who'll be going into mental illness issues, depression, everything that affects a man mentally. She will be talking about and how and solutions and how we can help them.
Who can attend and what age range?
Oh, we're hoping adults from 18 all the way up to grandpa. Come on down. Because
men and female.
Yeah, well, it's amazing. It's a male seminar. We want pure males to come, but there's some women who ask. I think they just want to go fast. But I was surprised because the female seminar, 2 men showed up. And we didn't stop them at all. They said, we'll pay 4 times the amount. We just need to be here. And I said, fine. So it is a male seminar, but if the women want to come out and have their support, which is good, because we need the balance. So that's fine. But come on out, and I want to leave this to the men. Be careful of the footsteps that you're walking in, because your children are walking in those same footsteps. With that said, thank you so much for me being here.
We want to thank you, not only for being here this morning, but for pushing the much-needed seminar for males. I really wish that other people will take your lead and have similar forums and events for males and vulnerable persons on a whole. I want to thank you very much for coming in this morning. We hope you have a very successful seminar.
Thank you.
But that's all the time we have. We're going to take our final break, and when we come back, we'll do a quick little wrap-up. Stay tuned.